So, Assalamu alaikum and Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulihil Kareem. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So, we begin with the name of Allah, and then this is our third lecture. So, it's good that we made so far. What we'll be mainly talking about today. So, today we'll try to go a little bit slow, but we'll first start with how are you feeling so far? And we'll start with our sister from the left side of mine today. But yes, sister, what is your feel about the class so far?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I feel good about the class, but I think you guys left me behind. I haven't.
Can I say something? Sure. Did you not get a chance to? Did you not get a chance to review?
The review now.
Oh, okay. Assalamu alaikum, sister. How are you doing? So you can sit here if you want to, because you don't have to sit really in the back. Okay. Then wherever you want, wherever you feel comfortable. So have you done any programming so far? Like any Eclipse is working? Did you try jdoodle.com?
JDoodle, no, the last time I came here yet. But my thing is broken. I wanted to text you today to ask if someone in the group has a charger.
Oh, for a Lenovo.
Yeah, but
He has a Lenovo,
version.
but it's a different one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the old version I got.
It's
430, I think.
yeah, those T models,
430, yeah, 430.
they might have different charging. So
I have the first part and need its front.
oh, just that part. No, that will work.
Which one?
Yeah, if you would have sent me a message,
Yeah.
maybe I could. Yeah, that's part.
No, that's not the.
No, this has 3 plugs, right?
Oh, this has 2 plugs. No, for 2, yeah, you will not.
2.
Yeah, that could be.
Don't worry, Amazon will take 1 day.
Right. That's fine. But inshallah, we will use JDoodle for a couple more days and a couple more classes. Walaikum salam. But right means after. But after that, yeah, we'll have to eventually move to Eclipse, full throttle. So, okay, that's fine. But you'll have to work a little bit more harder.
I was thinking about walking with Sister Vera, but she didn't come last
I think
week.
she said she will have to drop.
Yes.
But what is your name, sister? I forgot.
Seda.
Sister Saida, yes.
You were here last week?
She was here last week and she has gone through the first lecture also. She's mashallah very good and she
No,
can
the
be
first
really.
lecture she wasn't here.
Yeah, but still she has gone through
Oh,
it.
she went
Yeah,
through it.
yeah.
Okay.
And then she is very good. She has been practicing and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So
I might walk
that-
with her.
Right, yeah. And one of the things that I wanted to say was that if you are having trouble a little bit, then you can team up with somebody. We have Brother Shah Jahan, who has been very helpful on the discussion board and have been answering questions. So I appreciate all his efforts, and I also would suggest everybody to write something. Try to find something to write about from whatever the class that we are doing, whatever in the class that we are doing. So let's go to Sister Saida, and we are just on the. How are you feeling so far? What do you think about the class? Is it good? It's working for you?
Yes.
It is, so you want something to be changed, or means you're not changing anything as far as I know, but I'm just asking, means what is your feedback in it? So far so good? Okay. I forgot your name also because I'm getting old, I forget all names.
Abdul.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, Abdul.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about the class. It's just that I'm behind on the reading materials. So
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
catch up reading materials.
That's a good point, right? Reading material is very important. Assalamu alaikum. So yeah, reading material is very important if everybody is kind of up to date on the reading material, because there's a lot of things. Once you will talk about, last time we spoke about variables, right? There's so many things about variables that I cannot talk about. But if once you go through the reading material, then you will have a lot more learning from there. And here is Musa's chance to say what he wants to say. Wa alaikum assalam.
As far as the class, I'm feeling pretty good. Confused on a little bit of stuff, but for the most part, good. Really, the only thing is I cannot find time to do the reading material. So
But your exams are already over.
I know, but I have a lot of stuff on top of that. So
I know.
yeah.
All right, but are you reading?
Me?
Mhm.
I read the first one. The second one is the one I have to read.
Yeah, second one is the more important ones.
Yeah.
Well, Shah Jahan, what do you say?
Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable, and I like the material.
Cool. And you've been helping out other people also, so that's very helpful. Brother Abdul Hamid.
Alhamdulillah. I feel like I have a much better grasp than I ever did in college. So,
Okay.
The general concepts. Definitely, there's still a lot of specifics that are
There is.
a little hazy.
Mhm.
But I think if I go through the reading a few times, then that might help.
Right.
Maybe reading it before and after, something like that.
Right.
But overall, Alhamdulillah, it's a very good class.
Cool. Yeah, the most we would get when we practice the most, kind of thing. But practice is everything. Sister, I forgot your name. Khairiya, right. And I'm getting old and I'll forget everybody's name. So don't take it as. So, what is your initial feeling about the class so far? Are you getting something out of it?
Yes.
The whole thing is we want to get something out of it and then progress every week, inshallah. So that was mainly our today's feedback session. So what we will do is, let me ask about homework. So who had a chance to do the homework? I know that your system is not working, but who else you did the homework? Of course, Abdul Amir, Brother Shah Jahan, you did the homework. Brother Abdul, you did the homework, mashallah. And Sister Khairiya, did you do the homework? No, not yet, no problem. But you have to do it because it's very important. Variables are very, very important. If we don't have a very good grasp of variables, then you'll struggle. For a long time you'll struggle with variables, not because of anything else, it's just that you don't have the experience. I cannot tell you everything in the class. We do not get enough time to practice all of it here, but that's fine. So homework is one of the most important thing. Like the last homework, it did generate a lot of interest in the sense that people talk about it in the discussion board. A lot of people did it, and then they saw some of the outputs, and then they changed few things, and then it was kind of a little bit helpful in some ways. There are a lot of things about. There are a lot of things about variables that I'll not still talk about, and we will when we will go through it. then we will kind of learn things time to time. Maybe there is something that I forget, maybe something that's good to be done a little bit late, and things like that. If you're still using JDoodle, that's fine. Eventually we'll need to move to Eclipse, maybe even a little bit later. We are fine so far. 1 or 2 classes, or even 3 classes, I assume, we could go without with JDoodle, right? So let's see if I have to stop that. Yes, sir.
Just gonna ask, with JDoodle, so with Eclipse, I imagine there's a way to save
Mhm.
your code. With JDoodle, is there an easy way to save that, or just put it in like a text document?
So in JDoodle, you can create your own account,
Okay.
and it will be free. And then you can save your files in there. And then, so from that point of view, JDoodle is very helpful. A lot of people lately I've seen, and which is not lately, but a lot of people these days, they use such a tool because even if you're working on a very big project, you still have smaller things that you want to test out. And for this, a program like this or a software like this is kind of easier because not only this, that you can easily do it and see the same places and not have to switch between things, but also that once you have something working or you find something that you want to show somebody, you can save it there and then just send a link to another person and say, you see, this is working like this, either to ask a question or for some other reason. So a lot of people use such a tool, which is an online tool, but it's very helpful for smaller things. So let me stop end the show, and then just to switch text. So and then go to JDoodle. So what we were doing in our last homework was mainly that we had an int, right? So we had an int, and we were saying we want to make a table of that int, right? So one of the things that I wanted to, the way that I was thinking was to say something like x times 1 So there are so many errors. Who can fix those errors?
Quotation has to be before the X.
Quotations before the x. But I want quotation before the x like this,
Yeah.
but I want x to print as an integer, the value of the integer. So first of all, you can see that errors, to read errors is very important. So because the computer cannot understand your intention. And this, just like he said, one way of it is that I remove the quotation here, put the quotation there, and that should work, right? X times 110, right? But I don't want that. I want 10 times 1 is equal to 10, right?
Maybe add the plus.
So maybe have a plus. So instead of this, put x plus quotations. Assalamu alaikum. So x plus quotations, right? So this is a little bit better. JDoodle will work and it says x times 1, 10, but it was like 110, right? So program ran correctly, but it did not print correctly, which means it is still not a correct program. You cannot give it to somebody and say, this is a good program, it computes, right? But it does not print properly. A program, for the whole completeness of program, what you write there should be very accurate. Everything about that should be accurate. So text is also very accurate. You write what you, so a lot of people, once you write a little bit program, people will not see what is in the program. They'll see what is the output of the program. So what you write as an output, whether it's logs or just the output of the program, is very important. So what I do is, let's say, okay, x times 1, let me say equal, right? So that makes it quite better, right? But I can say, oh, I don't like the spacing, so what did I do? So I'll say put another space here and put an execute. So this looks a little bit better, right? And then we can improve it by just copying it, making the x the same, times 2 here and times 2 here, right? And then do an execute, and it printed x times 1 is equal to 10, x times 2 is equal to 20, right? And then I say, no, I want it for 8. So I just change it here and then do an execute. And then it says 8 times 1 is equal to 8, 8 times 2 is equal to 16, right? So that is like what we were talking about, the homework. This is how it is. But even in a very small homework like this, there are so many things to see. One, we just talked about the output. The other is that, for example, if we have a program like, so there are so many things that we will talk about even just for this program, so that we improve it a little bit. This is something very simple. There are quite a few things we have done here, but I want somebody to tell me a little bit about what are the different variable things that we used here. Like we talked about different variable stuff, right? Variable has this, variable
Declaration.
declaration. So where, on what line we declared a variable?
Line number 3.
Line number 3, right?
Yeah.
So, but this is not a simple declaration, right? Because I can declare a variable. So if it was just a variable declaration, what it would be? It will be int x. Is it a good enough declaration? Yes. The answer is yes. Because you're just declaring, right? You're not saying which, what, or something. You're just saying, for this program, I will have a variable, its name would be x, right? So there is already a variable x. I declared another variable x, and I execute it. It says variable x is already defined, right? Why? Can't I define 2 variables? I can, but
You have a programming error.
no, but they should have a different name. So you can define as many variables as you want, you just have to have different name, because otherwise would you identify them, use them, and stuff like that. So just simple thing, right? There's nothing very magical about it. Variable is a placeholder. You have to define the name, otherwise you want to put something in the placeholder, which placeholder you put it, so that you can use later, right? So all of that has to be part of your program, in the sense that if you do not follow it, it will say you something. And which happens, in a bigger program, this happens. Some people tend to use the same name, like x, I, for integer, or index or something, and then they reuse it, and then they'll get this error. So looking at the error, understanding the error first, and then fixing it is very important. Right, so okay, we say, okay, I want another variable, so I named it x. Would it work, or it will still complain? It will work. Why?
It's cap sensitive.
Because it's case sensitive, right? Alright, so this is good, it's case sensitive. So for example, we say, no, we just need this x. So we just define, int x is defined. Then y is equal to 8. What does that say? What does it mean? In the variable system, what are the other things that this statement does? So just a line number 3, it is giving a value to the variables, right? So what it is called?
Integer
No, integer is the,
value
no,
is a variable.
variable
No.
type,
Variable type. Okay.
right? So we said data type, and variable is a data type.
Mm-hmm.
Data, variable is not data type, variable is data. And integer is data type, means or type of variable. So integer is type, that's very important. We know there are other types also. Who can name that other type?
Double.
Double, good, for use for what?
Decimals.
Yes. What else?
Boolean.
Boolean,
Char.
char. String we also said, but string is not primitive type, but still it's basic type. So string, yes, we'll use string more and more often. And we already have some string there, but we're not using it for the time being. Okay. But we have int, which is type, x, which is the name of the variable. Then we do what?
Value.
Value is 8, right? But what equal is doing?
Sign.
Assign. It's a very good answer. But there are two types of assignments. One is an assignment and one is an initialization. And then there's a difference, because if you have a variable that is not initialized, then what happens? So I said x, int x. It'll say okay, right? And I run. I said error. Why? Because you can see I am using x and it is saying variable x might not have been initialized. It is saying might not because that's how they name it, but it knows for sure, otherwise it will not give me an error which says your variable is not initialized. So variables are initialized or non-initialized. Non-initialized variable you can initialize, but you cannot use. Initialization is also used, but non-initial, but not a full use. What is a full use? So, one concept that you will somehow, I'll not be able to explain it very fully right now for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is I'm not a teacher, but you know, in a mathematical expression, and we talk about a lot of expression, but in a mathematical expression, A is equal to B plus C, right? This is right hand side, right? And this is left hand side. That's what we say, right? If you use a variable on this side, it has to be initialized first, right? Because this expression has to be evaluated for A to be assigned the result of this expression, right? It could be C is equal to D times 5 plus 6, right? Any expression. But if D is not initialized, you cannot use it on the right hand side. No way, right? And all those people who've done basic math know that, right? That if on the right hand side you have to have everything initialized with a value for it to return a value or calculate a value that will be assigned to C then, right? Kind of makes sense, right? But C does not have to be initialized, right? It could be initialized. Say it already has a value of 5. If this executes, what would happen with 5 that it had before? It will be lost. It will be overwritten, right? We talked about last class that if you assign to a variable and then assign again, then the next assignment will overwrite what you have before, and it will be gone, right? So the whole idea is that you can use an uninitialized variable for assignment. You cannot use it for an expression. Kind of important thing, simple but important. So, or wherever you need a value, an initialized variable, then you cannot use it. So those are all concepts about variables. Those are small concepts, those are very logical, simple concepts. But then sometimes, and a lot of times, people forget them, and then they start using them a little bit more everywhere, and then they see those errors. Seeing those errors is not a bad thing, but to be able to fix those errors is important, right? All right, so let's keep going a little bit. Come a little bit in the front so that the video is a little bit more interesting, otherwise it will just be showing this thing and some voice. So we are back to here, and we said x is equal to 6. This time I have added some spaces, so maybe it will correct this, right? Musa, what do you say? There were no spaces before. Now I've added some spaces. Would it cause this program to run differently? No, because spaces does not matter. Java will take care of all the spaces. It will not be bothered with it. All right, so we have int s6. Now, we said x is equal to 6. What did we do? We defined a variable of a certain type and initialized it with a value, right? If I do x is equal to 7 here, would it complain?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they.
It will just override. Why it will not just override? Because they're saying it will complain.
Yeah.
So let's see if it complains. It did not complain. Sister, you want to move a little bit so that you can see it properly? Otherwise, you are having a little bit, yeah. Or should I make them move a little bit on
No,
this
it's
side?
okay.
Can you guys move just a little bit, like a little bit? No, not you.
Oh, okay.
Actually, you move a little bit here. Yes, for sisters to see. Right. So, so what it does is basically, so in line 3, you initialize the variable. You define a variable. You initialize the variable. In line 4, you overwritten the same variable. So nobody would complain. It's your program. You do what you want to do, so it will not complain as such. Some programming languages these days complain only to say why you are doing it. When you are overwriting something, maybe it's a bug or something, because you're writing a big program and something could be you could not really see like this. But other than that, if it's your program, you can do whatever. But in this case, you can see it did not use 6. It used 7. So one of the things is why it did not use 6. Because it goes line by line. It first does the first line, whatever it does. So first line does quite a few things, right? Define a variable, initialize it. But then second line just does another thing, which is assign a variable value. But still, it will do the first line, all of those things that it does, then it will go to second line. So everything is done line by line.
For learning purposes, can we take one line, system out, and put it after the 6?
For learning purposes, it's a very good exercise, right? So we do this. And this will show us a little bit more, which is a very good program that Shah Jahan has proposed. So, and we execute it. And it says 6 times 1 is 6, 7 times 2 is 40. And it's much more clear, right? The value here was 6, it printed 6 times 1, 6 times 1, 6. Then it value changed to 7. Say 7 times 2, 7 times 2 is 14.
So every time you system out print line, it resets or allows you to reset or reassign the value to the variable, right?
So in system out print line, right now there is no reassignment of value going on. It is just printing. So again, go line by line. I have an option. So this is exactly what you want to do. So think about what you want to do exactly to make it work. So for example, if I do it 2 times, system out print line, I'm doing it 2 times. Same system out print line without any change. It prints for 6 one time and then it prints for 7 2 times. So system out print line is not doing anything. But before that, we have overwritten the variable value. And that is why when we used this variable, it was used with this value. And you will see a little bit more, but this line by line is very important because today we will learn something which will be against this practice a little bit. But that we can, how we do a conditional execution. But in any case, whether you do conditional or non-conditional, as long as there is no condition, you will go line by line. And then you have to have in your mind what is this line doing, evaluating or not. But so one of the things that you've seen that a variable, I defined a variable, right? Now, I have made it 2 lines, int x and x is equal to 6. Same thing that I could have done in 1 line, I've made it in 2 lines, right? This is all on me, how I want to write a program. If I execute, it will run the same. But in first line now, it is defining a variable. Second line, it's assigning a variable. Third line, it is printing the variables. Plus, it is doing some expression on the variable. So one of the things that we wanted, means for those who have done the reading, in the reading there is more talk about some of those things like expression. X times 1 is an expression. It's like mathematical expression, right? When you give it, so what we can do is, say for example, I say at this point y is equal, I want to create a new value. And I say x times 6 plus 7.